What's going on, guys? It's the Hunter Project here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I will be bringing you a Monster Hunter video. It has been some time since I've done a video like this where I will be going over 7 monsters that I think could realistically return and I would like to see return in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. As always, if you do enjoy, a like would be extremely appreciated. It does help out the channel a ton. And with that, let's jump straight into the video. So coming in first, in no particular order, we have Daimler Hermitor. So after the reveal of Shogun during TGS and the return of crabs in general, I think Daimler is definitely likely to come back, as I feel like it would be unusual for them to bring back Shogun alone. And Daimler Hermitor is a pretty cool monster as well, with it bringing a good challenge for early game and Shogun possibly being a monster to face higher up in the monster tiers and just higher up in the quests. It has a pretty cool moveset as well, and I've never had an issue personally with the monster and found it relatively enjoyable fighting, so I would definitely be all for this monster returning. And from one crab to an even bigger one, coming at number 2, once again in no particular order, we have Shen Garen. This siege monster hasn't appeared in Monster Hunter mainline entries since Freedom Unite, so it has been quite a while, but from what we've seen so far, I feel like this monster would be quite fitting for Sunbreak and would be a good chance for them to reimagine its encounter to become a lot more engaging, as I feel like this monster had a lot of potential but was limited by the hardware of its time, as of course it was on the PSP, so there wasn't a lot they could do with the encounter compared to how monsters can be done now. So I would love to see it return and modernized for how Monster Hunter is today. Coming in at number 3, we have Yamasukami. So this is another monster that was left behind in Generation 2 that I think would fit really well into Sunbreak. And this Elder Dragon takes on quite an unusual appearance with its strong fungus design. And this is the second monster of 3 on this list that I think fit the Sunbreak theme and could do with a bit more engagement in its encounter that I think the developers could definitely pull off. Yamasukami in general is already a pretty interesting monster with its ability to float with no support and its creepy human mouth that can produce powerful suction beams, so I would 100% be all for this monster returning. And in general, it does have a really unique encounter as well, so hope fingers crossed we do see this monster return at some point, whether that's during Rise's life cycle or the next Monster Hunter game, whatever that's going to be, like Monster Hunter World 2 or whatever that is, but of course that's a topic for another day. Coming in at number 4, we have Kion, and this is our second Elder Dragon on the list, and this is similar to Yamasukami. It is an Elder Dragon that has not much resemblance to a dragon considering its species classification, and this was a monster that I thought they were going to bring into base Monster Hunter Rise. I feel like it fit the game's theme, but we are yet to see it appear anywhere, so I don't have much to say about this unicorn, but I do hope we get to see it at some point during this game's life cycle specifically. It has a pretty cool fighting style and it was a great punching bag for ranged hunters as well. I know there are a few people that do hate on Kion, but I am definitely a fan of this unicorn Elder Dragon. Coming in at number 5 is another hated, or I should say community memed and hated monster. That is Blessif, and whilst this fish is memed to the moon and back, I think it was quite an enjoyable fight, and I think if they tone down the hitbox for the hip check a tiny bit, it could be quite a welcome return to the series. Blessif is a monster that I've always seen as like falsely hated on, and I think it is a bit of a bandwagon. I think it is quite underrated in the sense of its aesthetic and overall design. I think it's a really well done like monster type fish, and I think Blessif would be a likely candidate for a water return, even though I'd prefer to see Lagiacrus come back, and I'm sure the devs have seen the plea for Lagiacrus to return, and a lot of people did want it in base game, so I wouldn't be surprised if Lagiacrus came back, but I also wouldn't be too surprised if Blessif made a return, as something just makes me feel like it's going to. So we'll see soon enough, 2022 summertime, we'll see if Blessif or even Lagiacrus make a return to the series. Alright, so coming in next we have Gravios, and I enjoy fighting this monster, even though I do know some people who don't like this monster. For some reason, there's something that attracts me to this monster. I don't know what it is, but I've always been a fan of its design, and I feel like it would make sense with the medieval looking teaser for this beast to come back. I just hope that they make its laser beam as scary and deadly as I remember it being in Freedom Unite. And of course, I would be all for subspecies returning, so Black Gravios could come back, as that was definitely one of the monsters that I used to be scared of in Freedom Unite when I used to play it as a kid. And we already do have Masarios in the game, which is the younger form of this monster, so it would only make sense if they did end up bringing Gravios to the game at some point, and that goes the same for all the other monsters that we've seen baby forms of, such as the Agnactors, that are obviously are Roctors in the Rise base game, as well as Tetsukabra. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did start seeing the adult forms of the monsters that we already do have in their child forms. But finally, we have our 7th and final monster on this list, a Kanto. This is definitely one of my favourite Flying Wyvern designs, and even Flying Wyverns in general, solely because of the fact that it's supposed to be a Flying Wyvern, but its wing bones are so underdeveloped that it just stays on the ground and it's become a beefy looking tank. Just like with Crimson Fatalis, the crimson and reddish rough skin both share is always a really cool design choice to me. The reddish glare of the teaser made me think about this monster as well, and I would love to see how its encounter would take place, especially with the use of the new wire bug. And of course there is some bias to this list, and especially number 7, as Freedom Unite was my first Monster Hunter game, and Kanto was the final boss of the single player for Freedom Unite. So Kanto definitely shares a special area in my heart for these more higher tier monsters, but I really do think it would fit the Sunbreak theme. I would love to know what you guys think we could see in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, and while I know it is quite some time away, and getting hype right now could be risky, I think there's no harm in speculating for a bit of fun. Of course, just don't be too attached to any monsters that you would hope to see, as that's just obviously setting yourself up for disappointment. Whereas if you're just not expecting too much and you do get what you want, it just makes it even better. As always, if you did enjoy, a like would be extremely appreciated. It helps out the channel a ton. And definitely subscribe for a lot more Monster Hunter content. Don't forget to join our Discord, links at the top of the description. Lots of awesome other hunters there on all the different platforms and all the Monster Hunter games. So if you are looking for someone to play on PC World or Switch on Monster Hunter Rise, definitely go there. I'm sure you'll find someone to play with or help you out on a quest if you need help with anything. And even me, if you do need help like desperately on World PC or Switch Rise, then I will try help you out if I can fit it into my schedule. But yeah guys, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.